Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the Cali Effect presented to you by InfectedXenon. Today we're going to be doing a Fire Fist deck profile. For the people that don't know anything about Fire Fist or just want to see how this deck plays in particular, I do have 5 whole videos of me playing this deck on my channel. Just overall a really good saga that I like to do. I do it for every deck that I do reveal as a deck profile. But let's get down to the deck. We're going to be running 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear. You don't need 3, especially since we've gotten so much more support past the initial Fire Fist release. With only us having Bear and a couple of other cards and Tiger King and stuff. Overall, he still is a really good card, but 3 is really just an overkill. I know some people still like to run 3 in their 4-axis build, which is perfectly fine, but this is not a 4-axis build. This is a 3-4-axis build, and 2 is just so easily to recycle, so easy to search, so we really don't need more than that. Next, we're going to be running 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Gorilla. Easy. People really underrate this card, mainly because it's not a bear, but Gorilla has so many good aspects in him in itself. First of all, Heavy Storm is banned. So for those back row heavy decks and those rogue decks, Gorilla really does shine of getting rid of your opponent's back row. And if he destroys a monster by battle, he becomes a bear by setting you a Fire Formation spell card. Just overall, really underlooked and a really good card for the Fire Fist. Next, 2 Colt Soldier Wolfbark, a really, really good card. I did have some, I really didn't feel so good about the card at first, and in a competitive scene, I probably still wouldn't play him. I'd be main boarding Maxis, but Colt Soldier Wolfbark is just really good for getting into your Tiger King plays, any of your rank 4 Exceeds, and even can set up Crimson Blader when you play it right. He's still a really, really good card. If I could find a way to run Maxis and him in the main board, I probably would, because it really is still a good card. Next, we're going to be running 3 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Leopard. Now, like I should have said in the beginning, this is not 3-axis, this is not 4-axis, this is more of like a 3-4-axis, like a, I don't really know what you want to call it, a 34-axis, it's Fire Fist, that's what I call it. But, the Leopard is essential for getting your fire formations to the field, whether they're spell or trap. It sets up your rank 3 plays and your synchro plays. Just overall a really good card, and it's almost like a Stratos to the deck. Next, we're going to be running 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Rooster, an extremely underrated card. There's so many times where he turns dead fire formations into so many live fire formations. Just overall, an extremely good card for the 3-axis base. He's the reason why 3-axis exists, because without him, 3-axis really isn't that good. You probably just want to stick to 4-axis. But since this is both, he really does adds so much consistency, so much OTK potential, and he even fetches Fire Fist monsters when special summon, which is done quite often in this deck. Overall, just a really good card. 3 stars. I really can't even explain so much more to him. You just gotta watch the video of him being played, because he is just essential for making so many comebacks and combos. Next, 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Spirit. Since he's limited to 1, we only can run 1. But even if he was when he was at 3, I was only running 2. So it really isn't that much of a change. Overall, just a really good card for special summoning your Rooster and getting its effect, special summoning Leopard and going into Horse Prince, even going into Beast Lord Vulcan. It's just overall a really, really good card. He's something not to be overlooked, and he's the reason that makes 3-axis 3-axis. 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Buffalo. Now, Buffalo is he's a creepy Fire Fist monster, because he works in so many good ways that he's almost overlooked. And he's not the most amazing Fire Fist, but when you need him, he's there. And often, you pretty much need him. But when it comes to just getting rid of your fire formations, just to have space to activate your spell and trap cards, or if you're really pushing for game, or even a cardinal play, he's just there. Just overall, an amazing card. Definitely would not run him in any more than 1, but just a really good card at 1. 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Boar. Now, Boar is the tuner, the level 4 tuner of the deck, access to Crimson Blader, so it's not really that bad. And when he's destroyed by battle, he gives you access to any of your level 4 Fire Fist monsters, which is still pretty good too. Overall, he's the recruiter of the deck, so he's not that bad. But more than 1, I really don't think it's that great. 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Dragon. Now, Dragon is really, really good at stacking up fire formations and even special summoning your Fire Fist from the graveyard, whether it be Rooster to get an extra search, or any of your Fire Fists just to put extra presence on the board. Dragon is just really good at the quantity of 1 in this specific build. And to round up the monster lineup, we're going to be running triple effect Veiler just to stop the opponent's effects. This is pretty obvious. Now for spells, 2 Fire Formation Tinky. Pretty obvious. I really shouldn't have to say much more about those. Just really good for searching the Fire Fist. Triple Tensu. A lot of people run double Tensu, but since I treat Tensu like every other fire formation in this deck, I use it, I recycle it, I throw it to the graveyard, I pitch it for effects, and I get another one. I feel 3 is just as necessary. Also, opening up with Tensu is probably the most amazing thing in this deck. Even just opening up a Tensu and a Rooster, there's just so many more plays with this card. And overall, Tensu is just a really good card. Like, why not run 3? We don't run Mystical Space Typhoon in the main board. We run 2 Fire Formation YuGiOh. And the biggest reason why we run Fire Formation YuGiOh is because, first, it's searchable. And people overlook its effect because it doesn't destroy the card. But just because you don't destroy the card doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good. Being a searchable back row inhibitor is amazing for this deck, especially since it's so easy to bring this out. There's so many cards. I can't even name you how many cards. On the top of my head, I'm thinking 9 monsters just to search out this card to stop your opponent's back row so you can continue doing what you're doing. Keep in mind that it also has Fire Formation in its name, so you can use it to destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field with Bear and Gorilla. Just overall, an amazing card. Next, another underrated card, Fire Formation YuGiOh. While the biggest thing that I like about YuGiOh is that you don't have to discard a Beast Warrior monster to destroy a card your opponent controls. And that's what really makes this card so live. Sometimes just having a Fire Formation card on the field is critical to getting off any of your plays, and YuGiOh really fills that hole. It also, it's really good against anti-meta decks or rogue decks, because even if they do somehow, I don't know, if they somehow have macro or deep fissure on the field, this card really does get over deep fissures and macros and stuff like that that really inhibit our deck. Really good for getting rid of face-up cards, and it combos really, really well with Buffalo. Keep in mind that it's searchable whenever you want. Next, 2 Pot of Duality. Now, the deck really doesn't have inconsistency issues, but Pot of Duality is just so much, it adds so much more to the deck. You don't always need to special summon, so it's really good in here. 2 Rekindling. And at very worst, Rekindling is a monster reborn for Fire First Leopard, which then in turn retrieves you a Fire Formation card. So overall, Rekindling is just really good. It's pretty sacky, allows us to go off with a lot of our big plays. Just really, really good. 1 Dark Hole, I mean, that's pretty obvious. And that rounds up spells. Now for traps, we're going to be getting a little more interesting. I'm going to be running 2 Fire Formation Tenzin. It's pretty obvious since I'm running Dragon. 2 Deep Prisons. I like them over Mirror Force. Mirror Force doesn't get over Stardust, and it doesn't get over a lot of other problematic cards that Deep Prison does. So that's why I really like Deep Prison over Mirror Force. That's really much else. Solemn Judgment, Bottomless, and Compulse. But that last card is going to be that tech copy of Vanity's Emptiness. Just because we run so many continuous spell and trap cards, we really don't see them hitting the graveyard fast unless we want them to. And Vanity's Emptiness is just giving you that edge against those special summon decks like Mermails or Dragon Rulers. Just overall a really good card. And I run it at 1 in the main board just to give us a little bit more space in the extra deck, or the sideboard. But now we're going to go down to the extra deck, which will be 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. Pretty obvious. Get you your Fire Formations. The last effect to when he's destroyed, to destroy 3 of your Fire Formations, is used quite often in here. So he's really a threat to be reckoned with since we can use all of his abilities at once. 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Cardinal. I feel that this card is extremely necessary at 2, mainly because it gets over so many problematic cards. Dragon Ruler matchup, it makes it so much more easier just putting those Dragon Rulers in the Draco Sack and all their other stuff back into the deck. Just overall an amazing card. 1 Diamond Direwolf, 1 Black Shippercorn, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 Abyss Dweller. Now for the level 3s, we're going to be running 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Lion Emperor. At first he was at 2 when we did have the, the double spirit and the triple tinky, but now he's only at 1. Mainly we really don't need him as much, but he's still a really, really good card and a force to be reckoned with in this deck. 1 Leviair. You never know. 1 Zinmanes. Now for synchros, I'm going to be running 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Horse Prince. I really don't need any more than 2. It's so easy for this deck to loop, especially going with Lion Emperor, and just really cause some pretty big damage for your opponent, and even go for OTKs. But then at the same time, you really don't need more than 2 because of the limits. And this Stardust Dragon actually is supposed to be Beast Lord Vulcan. I have not received mine in the mail yet. Beast Lord Vulcan is one of those cards that when you don't need them, you don't summon him. But when you do need him, you really need him. And he's really clutch in putting those Fire Formation Tinkies and all those other cards back to your hand to disrupt your opponent. For that last slot, it's really up to you. I've seen a lot of people just want to run Mecha Equipped Engineer, but even the rank 6 are still pretty good in here, mainly because we have that rekindling, so we can make another 6 again, and then we can overlay for whatever we want. This is actually what won me a lot of games in the World Championship qualifier for the Winnamats and all the other stuff. It's really up to you. Now for the side deck, we're going to be running Triple Maxi. I would want to main board them in any high-level event. Triple Mystical Space Typhoon. Just in case for those back row decks that need it, Prophecy really do. I cite these in hard against Prophecy. Triple Debunk. Now, Debunk is a very interesting card because the biggest thing that shut down Fire Fists are hand traps, which are being Effect Veilers, Maxis, and all that other stuff. Debunk really shuts that down. So you really have to preemptively side these in for game 2. Or if your opponent already is running it, it's pretty good. Also, a really good card against Dragon Rulers in themselves. Triple Gozen. I don't run Imperial Iron Wall on the main board because of Debunk. I really need to stop those hand traps and stuff. So Gozen Match is a really good substitute, and it hits a bigger array of decks. 2 more Vanity's Emptiness to stop those special summons, and 1 Soul Drain. Just a really good card. Even though it is at 1, it pretty much still stops Dragon Rulers, Mermails, and all that other stuff. Just a really good card to have. But thank you guys for watching another segment of The Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe. Also feel free to go to my channel and check it out. Just a really good channel if you want to see any of the Fire Fist deck profiles. But most of all, enjoy.